Most everyone has heard the term e-book, but what is an e-book? Why are they so popular? And how do you get one? Today's guest will discuss all of these questions and give a demonstration of how to download an e-book onto your own tablet or computer. Stay tuned for the better part. Hello, my name is Charles Bedord, and my guest today is Ms. Rosalind Donald, Supervising Librarian for Adult and Teen Services at the Cupertino Public Library.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm happy to be here.
So, Rosalind, can you tell us a little bit, how did e-books evolve? When did they first appear?
Well, e-books really evolved out of word processing. People started to create documents electronically, and as more and more books became electronic in the sort of production phase, then all of a sudden people realized, well, why are we printing these books? Why can't we just make them available, in what's known as soft copy or as an e-book?
I see. So really, what advantages do e-books have compared to hardback books?
Well, e-books have a number of advantages. For one thing, they're very lightweight. My husband used to say that he had to take the librarian suitcase along with us on every trip for all of my books, and now he's very happy that he doesn't have to lug along a lot of extra books. So you can have hundreds of books on your tablet or reading device. Also, you can adjust the font on them, so if you would prefer a larger text, you can easily do that. You don't have to wait for a large textbook. Then I think people realized, why do we need to print this out on a lot of dead trees? We could also have electronic copies of these books. I think, the first tries at sort of e-readers were in the early 90s, and the devices weren't very good. They lost power quickly. So then we got another generation of mobile devices, and all of a sudden it became much more useful to have books in e-reader formats. So they really evolved along with the devices. I am never without something to read, even when I'm stuck at the doctor's office, because I always have something on my phone or tablet. Another advantage of ebooks is that they are very flexible, so you can adjust the font if you prefer a larger font, if you prefer a particular type of print. You can change the actual type from Times Roman to Calibri to Garamond. If you like one, you can change the book to that. Another advantage is that a lot of readers have a nighttime mode or a backlit mode, so you can turn the background black and have white text. I found it's very useful if I want to read in the dark. So if the plane is dark but you still want to read, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to read for a little bit, then you have a nighttime mode that is not so bright. It's easier on your eyes. Ebooks have an enormous advantage in that ebooks don't take up space. Space is limited in all of our libraries.
That's a good point.
And so they don't take up space. They don't get coffee spilled on them. Now, if you spill coffee on your tablet, that's your problem. They don't get eaten by the dog.
That's right.
And they don't get left behind in the hotel. So it enables us to keep our collection more intact. We don't have to deal with damaged items or pages torn out, that kind of thing. So all kinds of advantages.
Are ebooks damaged at all if they go through airport screening devices, do you know?
Oh, no, that has nothing, that doesn't have any bearing on them as far as I know.
That's great. So given the advantages, are there also some disadvantages to ebooks?
There are some disadvantages. For one thing, just learning how to get them onto your tablet is a little bit of a steep learning curve. It's not awful, but you do need to be pretty comfortable with computers and Wi-Fi and putting things on your tablet. Another problem is simply that your e-reader device it needs power, and if you run the battery down, then you are going to be out of luck. There's no more horrible feeling than realizing in the middle of a 5-hour plane flight that your tablet is only at 20% power. Luckily now a lot of planes and trains do have power outlets, so you can recharge while you're reading, but still, your paperback never runs out of juice.
I used a little handheld device, much smaller than a tablet, for a while. to read some ebooks, and I had a little trouble finding out, okay, now how do I mark my page?
Yes, yes. But there is a way to mark your page in ebooks, and you can also highlight text, and some of them even have a dictionary function built in, so if you encounter a word that you don't know the meaning of, you can look it up right there.
That's a very good point. I like that.
So most of the readers have all kinds of features.
So when did ebooks first become available in the Cupertino Library, and what brought them into the library?
Well, I would say they first became available around 2006. It took a while for the vendors to be available to sell them to libraries because regular publishers were not quite ready. The publishers are still trying to figure out the business model for ebooks.
Right.
You know, we're about reading. We're there to support reading in whatever format you want it. If you want it in paper, we've got paper. If you want it electronically, we've got that. If you want it in Hindi, we've got that.
That's terrific.
So we're about supporting reading however way you want to do it.
Well, that's especially important or advantageous rather in a multicultural community such as Santa Clara Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely good point. So how many titles, just approximately, ebook titles are available today in the Cupertino Library?
Last week when I checked to see what the collection was looking like, I think it was about 55,000.
55,000?
Yes,
wow.
Yes, quite a bit. And another 8 to 10,000 e-audiobook titles, so you could download and listen to them.
Now, I'm just curious, and when you say 55,000 titles, seems like an awful lot. Do you have any idea of how many books you have, hardcover books in the Cupertino Library?
Well, Cupertino's collection specifically is a little over 300,000.
Okay, so that makes up a significant fraction of
Yes.
the total collection then.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It does.
Do all libraries have ebooks in the Santa Clara County Library system?
Yes, the Santa Clara County system as a whole subscribes to several different library ebook vendors, and so we kind of share that in common.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really that Cupertino Library owns a particular kind of particular set of ebooks. We subscribe to the vendor along with all the other libraries.
Does each library order their own ebooks, or is there a central ordering facility for?
No, we have a central ordering person who takes care of most of our
for all
ebooks.
of Santa Clara County?
Yes, for all the county system.
So is everything in the library available for download on ebooks? Or?
No.
No.
No, we're not going to be able to go back and digitize every single book that's in our 300,000 volume collection.
Mm-hmm.
So the ebook collection, I would say, is largely focused on popular fiction,
Right.
all kinds of popular fiction, romance, mystery, horror, literary fiction, short stories, popular nonfiction, business books, and then also like kid and teen books.
How is this judged? How does this ordering system make determinations of which books to order electronically in electronic format and which books not to?
Well, there's a number of factors, as you might imagine. We have a collection development policy where it helps guide us as to what we purchase, but we certainly look to the bestseller lists, the New York Times and the Mercury News. We'll look to what's interesting locally, so what's getting reviewed in local newspapers. We look to a number of different review sources like Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, but also Scientific American. When we go to order, we can look and see what the initial buy estimates are in our ordering screen, and so we look at stuff that has at least 2,000 to 3,000 initial buy, because then we know that the publishing industry has decided that this title is going to be popular, so we better get a couple of copies too.
So you can stay a little bit ahead of the curve there.
Absolutely. We do try to stay ahead of the curve, certainly with the things we know are going to be big bestsellers like David Baldacci, Lee Childs, Debbie McComber, those very popular authors.
What about magazines and things like this? For instance, are things like Scientific American available through through the library system for download those electronically?
Well, there's a couple different ways to get at magazines electronically. One is through our traditional library databases, where you can do a search on, say, frogs, and get articles about frogs or DNA or what have you. Those aren't really downloadable books. It's more you do a search and get articles. But if you just want to browse through magazines, we actually do have a electronic magazine service. It's called Zinio.
Okay.
And it has a fairly small selection of magazines, but it's growing all the time. And that way you get the whole magazine and you can flip through it and see all the ads and the illustrations, just like in the paper magazine.
And this service is available through the library.
Absolutely, with your library card.
Is this something new then, or?
It's about a year old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about popular bestsellers and magazines. How about, Cupertino has lots of children. We're known for our school system.
Indeed.
How about children's books? For instance, can you go through and order something, let's say, for under 10-year-old set, or some things like this?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, our largest ebook vendor, Overdrive, that's what I'm going to be demonstrating later on. They actually have a separate children's collection, so you can put your kids in there and help them select, reading material appropriate to them. And they also have a teen selection.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Overdrive also for the teens, I wanted to remind people that Overdrive also has access to books that are in the public domain that have passed out of copyright. And so there's a lot of classics in there.
Good.
And so if your kid announces to you on a Sunday night that he has to have the first half of Huckleberry Finn read the next morning, and can we go to the library, and you say it's 9 o'clock, no, you can't go to the library. Actually, you can get an ebook copy of that through Overdrive.
So because we're so multicultural in the Santa Clara Valley, do we have ebooks that are available in languages other than English, such as Chinese or Spanish?
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of sources for ebooks in other languages. Although I do want to mention for Chinese, we do have an online magazine source called Dragon Source that is all Chinese magazines in full color.
Now, this is magazines, or are these books?
These are magazines.
Okay.
But one of the problems we sometimes face in the library world is we can only buy things that people will sell to us. And there are not a lot of vendors who are offering Chinese ebooks to us just yet. If there was, I think we would buy them almost sight unseen because the demand is so enormous. But so far, there's not a vendor of Chinese ebooks in the library space.
How about Chinese newspapers?
No, I don't think Dragon Source has the newspapers that I know of. Of course, we do have them in print at the libraries.
Okay. And of course, the other large group we have, another large group, I should say, we have in the area is Indian families. Do we have any things that are written in in Indian languages?
Not in ebook format. Again, the problem is there's not really a vendor who's ready to sell to U.S. libraries.
Okay. Is there a way to just browse through titles and pick and choose what you want?
But yes, there is a way to browse on the screen. You can choose a category like romance or historical fiction or biographies, and then browse through. And and there's a little carousel that you can flip through and take a look, and it shows you the book cover. And then you can you could tap on one and open it up and look at what would be like the end papers.
Just can you give me an idea about how many ebooks are checked out currently in the Santa Clara County Library or the Cupertino Library each year or month, just approximately?
Well, I checked those figures last week, and I see our monthly ebook circulation is around 13,000.
A month?
A month.
That's quite high.
A month. It is very high. That's why we have so many ebooks, because this is a technologically savvy area. People have these devices, and they want to use them. But compare that to our print circulation, which is the average monthly print circulation is more like 55,000.
Right. Do you have to return an ebook? And if you do have to return an ebook, how do you go about that?
The great thing about ebooks is that they just expire. They just kind of go poof.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And they expire. So once your borrowing period is up, then they just expire. And the next time you go into your reader, it will probably say, "This title has expired. Would you like to delete it?" Now, you can return it early. If you finish it early, there is a way to return it early, which is just courteous, especially if there's a wait list for the book.
How long can you check out an ebook roughly?
You can check it out for 7, 14, or 21 days. So
14 or 21.
So you
Okay.
can choose your lending period. If you're a fast reader and you know you'll finish it quick, then you can say, I'll just have this for 7 days. But if you think you'll need a little more time, you can say, oh, I want this for 3
And
weeks.
all you need is a library card to do this.
All you need is a library card.
So you don't have to pay extra if you want to check it out for 21 days rather than 14 or 7 days?
Oh, no, of course not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so you have the option then. 21 days, that's quite a long time to hold a book. I'm impressed with that. So now that we've discussed the origins and advantages and disadvantages of e-books, could you perhaps give us just a brief demonstration of how do you check out an e-book onto your own tablet? For instance, if I say, gee, this sounds really good now, I'd like to try this. I've got an iPad or some other electronic reading device at home. How do I do this? Could you give us a brief demonstration perhaps?
I would be happy to.
Okay. So, Rosalind, I noticed that you brought in a tablet here, your own reading device, and you brought in, what is it, an iPad?
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps you could just give the viewers a brief demonstration of how they go about downloading a book from the Santa Clara Library system onto an iPad, for instance.
Sure.
Although this can be done, a similar type of thing, I suppose, on any other type of reading device, too.
Oh, yes. You can definitely do it on an Android device, Kindle, or a Nook, or any other e-reader that you have. So the first thing you need to do, what makes it easiest on the iPad, is to download the free Overdrive app. And so to do that, you would go into the App Store, and then you would search for Overdrive. So you go in the search box, and then I'm just going to do Overdrive, and see where it says Overdrive, and then Overdrive Library eBooks. And so right here with the big O, the big blue box with the blue O, is Overdrive. So on your iPad, it would probably say, you know, install. We're not going to do that because I already have it installed. But I want to point out that this is a free app that anybody with an iPad or an iPhone can get.
Now, do you have to enter a library card or a library card number before you do this? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay,
first get the app. That's coming. Yes,
okay.
That's coming. So first get the app and you get that downloaded. So get that downloaded, and then I have mine all set up, of course, in my little books folder, being the proper librarian that I am. So I'm going to tap on the big blue O, and you can see that I actually already have some books downloaded here. And that, once again, you can see my terrible taste in bodice rippers. And so the first thing that you would do is add a library. And so we're going to search for Santa Clara County.
So you're keying this in now?
Yes, I'm keying this in with a keyboard. And all of the libraries will come up. It actually doesn't matter which one you choose. I mean, you can, because we all have the same subscription, so you can choose Cupertino if you want to, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Because we share all the same.
You share all the same ebooks.
We share all the same ebooks, but it makes you feel better to choose Cupertino and, you know,
Sure.
then go for it. So, so then you're looking at our collection. So yes, that's what we want. So now we're going to go in and look at our collection of ebooks. Overdrive is a large vendor, probably, you know, the 900-pound gorilla in the library market.
So you're going to essentially go in and browse to see what's available?
Exactly.
It's like walking through the shelves of books in the library.
This is just like walking through the shelves or browsing the new book stack. So as you can see, we do feature some collections. So if there are books that have been mentioned in the media, those are really handy if you've been watching The Daily Show or The Today Show or some other, and you think, what was that book that they were talking about on Charlie Rose the other night? Then this is a selection of books that have recently been reviewed in the media. And as you can see the covers. And if you think, what was that book about, say, Woodrow Wilson? Then you can tap on the cover. And actually, we're not going to borrow it just yet. We're just going to go take a look. So I'm going to tap on the title. And see, oh, I love it when the technology works. It's just so awesome. So here, this is telling you there's the cover, and this is telling you this is available in several different formats. Here are the subjects. So if you want to go look at more biographies, you know, you can go browse those. And it tells you that there's one copy available out of a total of 1 library copies.
So let's say I have a specific book in mind, and I want to say, gee, I saw a movie this last weekend called A Theory of Everything. I'd like to go in, and I think they mentioned a book in there, A Brief History of Time. How would I go in and identify that book?
Well, once you're in the Overdrive app, you can actually use the search box, which is right up here. So there's the search box. There is an advanced search if you want to get really persnickety about authors or formats.
So you can use, it's a little bit like Google in that respect.
Right.
Yes.
So you can just use the regular search box. So I'll do brief history. I actually don't know if we have a copy of this particular book, but let's see.
Well, I'm sticking my neck out here.
Yes, you are. But you started this, so I'm going to finish it. Oh, look at, so we do actually have a brief history of time in audiobook. Let me show you how I know that that's an audiobook. The little icon right there, see it has a little headphones on it. That means that's an audiobook.
Okay.
So for some reason we have it in audiobook and not in text.
Well,
Don't
anyhow,
ask me
why don't you pick out a book and show us how to find it in text?
Okay. Let's see. Let me go back. You can use the I can use the back books here and oops, there. So let's say we're going to borrow this biography of Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
If you like history. So it's actually quite simple. You just tap the green borrow button. And you would put in your library card number right here and your PIN. Now mine is already entered because I use this all the time.
Okay.
And you can actually save your barcode and PIN in this screen, which is very, very useful. And you touch sign in. So that's telling the system that you're you and you're checking out this book. And now it is checked out to me.
I see.
Like that. Shazam. Now the one thing I do need to do is download it in a particular format. And this is what trips a lot of people up. This book is available in 2 different formats in Overdrive. It's available in EPUB and it's available in Kindle format.
I see.
So it's the same book, different box. That's all.
So what do we want?
We want EPUB. Now, if I had a Kindle reader and I was fixing to read this on my Kindle, then I would download it in Kindle format. But if you're reading it on your iPad, then you want to check off EPUB. So now the EPUB box is checked, and we touch on confirm and download, and just give it a 30 seconds or so. Audiobooks sometimes take a little longer because those are really large files. But see, mine is downloading right there. There's one more file left. See the one up in the corner right there? So give it a few more seconds. It kind of depends on how fast or slow your Wi-Fi is. But it will download, and then we can go and open it up in a second. So this is what hangs up people a lot. The same applies to audiobooks. There's 2 formats available. There's MP3 and WMA. This is why I want people to use the Overdrive app, because it will steer them to the proper formats that you can use on your iPad.
Okay.
Okay. So now I've downloaded this book. I want to go read it. So I'm going to tap on the icon right up here, the 3 little bars. Tapping. There we go. So this is sort of my menu for the Overdrive app, and I'm going to go to my bookshelf. And there it is in all of its glory. Go. There we go.
There we go. Now
there we
it's
go.
Glory. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the cover. And to advance in the ebook, you just tap on the right side of the screen. This is all the same frontispiece that you would get in the print book. Yeah. Part 1, there we go. So there's a number of controls that we can use within the e-reader to enhance your reading experience. If you just tap in the middle of the screen, then you get your 3 bars back if you want to go back into your bookshelf and switch books. There's a table of contents. So you can just tap another section and go forward to the chapters and give it a chance to load. And then this is what I use most frequently down here is if you tap the big A and little a.
Right. Is that for the font?
That's for the font. There they go. So that's for the font. So then you can change it and make it larger if you prefer larger type. You can actually make it quite large. eventually.
Loading.
Loading,
Okay,
loading,
there it
yes.
is, there it is.
Be able to change the typeface, but I think we will be safer and just change it to black. This is what I like when I'm reading at night. Go ahead. There we go.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, see, and then we can get rid of that.
Now, Overdrive, is that free to download that?
The app is free.
The app is free.
The app
Okay,
is absolutely
yes.
free, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. There is one thing that I wanted to show you about browsing. The other thing that tends to frustrate people is that demand for ebooks is very high. And so we don't always have a copy available of the particular book that you want to read. And people say, well, but it's just software. Can't you just get another copy? Can't you just, cut and paste?
Right.
And what people don't realize is that ebooks, the publishers still want to get paid.
Yes.
And so we buy copies of ebooks, kind of like user seats on a software license, just like we buy copies of print books. And so sometimes you'll see an ebook that is not available, and that if it was not available, then the little icon at the top would be grayed out.
Okay.
But if it's black, then that book is available right away for you to download. So for example, what we've got right here, the Barbara Taylor Bradford new book, that icon is grayed out. So that means that there's not a copy immediately available, but you can put yourself on hold for the ebook, just like for a regular print book. And then you get an email when their copy is available, and then you can just go in and download it.
So generally, if you have a best-selling book that's been on the New York Times list or Mercury News or Chronicle list for some time, and you want to order that book for the library, how many copies do you order? How at a time is that book?
Well, it varies. It does vary a lot. I would say if anything on the New York Times bestseller list, we'll get at least 3 copies.
Okay. Okay.
Now, granted, I mean, the print version of that, we'll get 30.
Oh, the third? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the print.
Right.
But see, the 3, that's because the print ones, 1/3 of those 30 won't come back.
Oh, I see.
They get damaged, they get...
1/3? Really?
Yeah, eventually they'll go away. People spill coffee on them, the
Right.
dog eats them, they forget them. Many things can happen to a library book. But we don't need as many copies of the ebook because it won't get damaged.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate you coming and giving us this demonstration. And it was nice talking with you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Rosalind, thank you so much for joining us today to discuss ebooks. And we particularly thank you for your wonderful and helpful demonstration. We also thank our audience for joining us today. Be sure to look for shows produced by The Better Part on YouTube and Roku, or watch them right here on KMVT. Also, keep in mind that The Better Part is produced by volunteers at the Cupertino Senior Center. If you'd like to join our group, no experience is necessary. Merely call the Cupertino Senior Center for details. See you next week.